All right, I'm still in my 5 by 5 inch, 300 pixels per inch document. I adjusted my layer styles a little bit more to make them look cooler. And let's just work with the background a little bit and see if what we can do with selections, copying and pasting layer styles and stuff like that, image adjustments. So just be conscious of where you are in the layer palette, right? If you're on the on the type layer or on the background layer. And I am in essentials, right? So if I hit reset essentials, I'm just closing that library and making my toolbar double, okay? So if you want to adjust your type font or anything like that, if I'm on the type in this workspace, if I'm on the type layer, right? In the properties palette, I should see character, right? The character palette is the name of the palette that works with type, just like in Illustrator. It's sort of an abbreviated version in the properties palette. If you want to see the full one, you can go to Window Character. Okay, and there's your full character palette. So let's go to the background layer, and you'll see that stuff then becomes not available because we're not on the type layer anymore. And let's see if we can just do some copying and pasting and things like that. So if I go to my rectangular marquee tool, okay, I think we looked at this briefly previously. Selection tools in the toolbar, other than the move tool on the top left, all these up here, the first two rows are all selection tools. Okay, so on the upper right, you should have the rectangular marquee tool if I hold down on it, or the elliptical marquee tool, which are basic selection tools. There's also these single row things that they're not particularly useful for what we're doing. So I'm taking the rectangular marquee tool, and if let's say I want to make sort of a border on this thing, making sure you're on the background layer, right? And I'm just going to go and draw a border like this. Okay. Okay. Now, if I were to want to put, like, let's say, make this look embossed or change the color of this or something like that, I can't really make it embossed or do any layer styles. See, the little FX thing is grayed out because layer styles depend on having some kind of edge between transparent and opaque, or pixels or no pixels. And I'm on a solid pixel layer. Okay. I also can't do it. I can't. The layer styles turns on, but the selection won't work on a type layer. So I'm trying to do it with a background layer. But I could do something like image adjustments. All right. Now, all of these things are stuff that you could just play around with to try to make interesting changes to your image. But the two that are most useful are brightness contrast and hue saturation. Most useful for doing creative artistic work like we're doing here. If you were maybe a photographer, you might use levels and curves, which are a little bit less intuitive, but more non-destructive to the tonal range of the image, which photographers are interested in preserving, but we don't really care particularly about, with what we're doing here. Anyway, brightness contrast just lets me change the brightness of something, or increase or decrease the contrast. All right, I find that useful. Or image adjustments, hue saturation. We can change the hue of what's inside the selection area. Okay, we can make it more or less saturated, and we can adjust the lightness. The lightness I don't find as useful as the brightness and brightness contrast, because on either end is solid white and solid black, so the tonal range degrades very quickly. Okay, so it's not good for making your image lighter or darker. I mean, in certain situations, yeah, but usually no. And then there's this colorize thing, which tints it all one color. Okay. But I've already done that to this. So I'm not going to do that again. But to get back to the original point is how do we get layer styles? Like if we want to make a panel or something, say. All right, so the simplest thing to do is copy and paste, right? And it will, when we copy, it'll copy to the clipboard, wherever that is, what's inside this selection. And then when we paste, pasting makes a new layer. So I'll go edit copy, all right? You can see that's Control C in practically any program, all right? And then edit paste is the same as Control V. And there's no real change there, but you can see there's a new layer that's appeared. If I turn off my background layer, there you can see the edges of it. All right, so let's throw some layer styles on this thing and see what we can do. So I'm going to do inner shadow to make it look like it's carved out of the background. See how that looks. So I'm going to hit reset to default and then just tweak these things a little bit. All right, I just turned up the distance a little so it'll look like it's, how about a stroke around the outside the whole thing? You can make it whatever color you want. Make it look like it sort of blends in with the. I can go to color overlay and make the whole thing. Maybe a gradient would be better. Or maybe not. How about a pattern? But I'm not totally sure you guys have these patterns, so I'm just go back to color overlay. Just use it to darken the inset area a little bit. And let's see what Bevel and Boss does here. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I'm just basically playing around here. Okay, so we can make sort of a border there. Yeah, and you can also like say if I don't like the Bevel and Boss, I could just turn it off there. It looks a little cleaner without that. All right, let's try something else here. What if we wanted to make a bright piece across the whole thing like this, right? So if I do edit copy, it's going to copy whatever layer I'm, the pixels inside this rectangle from whichever layer I'm on. But if I go edit copy merged, that's going to copy all the layers merged together. And then if I go edit paste, okay, this is kind of interesting. See, it gave me this. all right, which I can put up on top of my type layer. Okay, so I can do image adjustments, brightness, contrast to make that really bright. Oh, that's interesting looking. Let's do another one of those. So I'll select the rectangle on this way maybe, and go edit, copy, merged, edit, paste, and I'll do the same thing. Kind of interesting looking. So anyway, so if I wanted to make another piece down here, say for example, I don't know, place to put another piece of type, I'll just make another selection. But remember, you have to, I'm just doing this to have a little practice selecting, manipulating things. If I'm going to copy this area here, you have to make sure you're on the right layer that area actually exists in. It could be layer 1 or background. Looks like it's in both places, right? So I'm going to go edit, copy, and when I do edit paste, it pastes it right on top of the layer I'm currently on. So I have this little guy down here. Doesn't have the layer style on it anymore that made it look dark. So so it's lighter now. And let's do a bevel and emboss on that guy. I'm gonna reset the default. Color overlay. Maybe I'll pick up some color, some orange from here. Maybe a little drop shadow. All right, and I'm gonna then put a piece of type inside here. Wow, that's really big. Get my character palette. How about 48 or something? And so to change what it says, just highlight it and type the thing you want. And when you're editing type, that thing appears up at the top, right, with the check or the yes or the no. Check means yes, so that means to most often you have to hit the check or enter on the numeric keypad. And let's see what happens if we take the layer style from this one and put it on here. So I'm going to go find my type, okay, styles, right click, and copy layer style. And then I go to my type that says thing and paste layer style. And I think it would be cool if this type was blue, right? So let's see, what do I got here? Maybe if I make I'm on that type layer and I see my character palette, I could just go and, get the blue color there. Looks like I have some layer styles that have color in it. Which one could it be? So I'm going to open that back up and see if I can, looks like my bevel and emboss color. Need a drop shadow. All right, so I'm just fooling around with this thing. Okay, I'm looking at ways to embellish, make the background more interesting, playing with type, stuff like that. All right, so let's save this file.